All right, let's open up one of the most fascinating cold cases in all of ancient lore, the fall of the angels known as the Watchers. Now, this is a wild story that comes to us from the ancient book of Enoch. It's a tale of rebellion, forbidden secrets, and a cosmic judgment that, according to the text, is still making waves today. So you've got these angels who rebelled. But that brings up some huge questions, right? Like, who actually has the authority to hold an angel accountable? What was their punishment? And maybe the biggest question of all, where are they now? First things first, who exactly are we talking about? Well, the book of Enoch tells us about this specific group of angels called the Watchers. And their job description was pretty simple. Watch over humanity, protect us. But something went seriously wrong. They didn't just watch, they got involved. And they crossed a line they were never, ever supposed to cross. Their first huge mistake, they abandoned their post in heaven because they were overcome with lust for human women. Now, this wasn't just a minor rule break. This union of the divine and the mortal was seen as a massive violation of the cosmic order. And the result was, well, monstrous. Their kids were the Nephilim, a race of giants who just filled the world with violence and chaos. But it didn't stop there. Their second crime was basically spilling heavenly secrets, giving humanity knowledge we were just not ready for. And what's so fascinating is the type of knowledge they shared. Take Azazel. He taught us metallurgy. Not to build better farms, no. He taught us how to make swords and shields. He also introduced cosmetics, which the text links to vanity and seduction. Other angels taught things like enchantments and astrology. So they didn't just give us info, they handed us the tools for war, corruption, and turning away from God. So the world is just spiraling out of control. You've got giants stomping around. Humanity is corrupted. Something had to be done. A judgment was coming. But think about it. When the defendants are immortal angels, who exactly can act as the judge? And this is where the story takes this incredible turn. The final verdict came from the top, from God himself. But it wasn't delivered by some mighty archangel. In a total flip of the script, a mortal man, Enoch, was given the job of delivering God's judgment to the angels. I mean, talk about a role reversal. You can just imagine the scene. The Watchers are terrified, and they actually beg Enoch to write a petition for them to ask for mercy. And he does it. But the answer he gets from God is just absolute. He comes back to them and says, essentially, sorry guys, your request has been denied forever. The judgment is final. No appeals, no second chances. Now, the punishment itself was brilliant in a really dark way. It wasn't just one thing, it was layered. And the very first part of their sentence was pure psychological torture. Before they were ever touched, they were forced to just watch. I mean, think about how cruel this is. The Archangel Gabriel was ordered to make the giants, their own sons, fight and kill each other. And the Watchers, their fathers, were forced to witness the entire bloody civil war, to see their children completely annihilate one another, knowing they could do nothing. They were just left to mourn forever with no hope of peace. So after that horrific psychological torment, then came the physical part of the sentence. They were to be bound in chains and thrown into a prison, completely and permanently cut off from the heaven they'd abandoned. Their immortality was no longer a gift, it was now just an eternity of confinement. And this prison has a name that might ring a bell. Tartarus. Yep, that's the same name the ancient Greeks used for that deep, dark pit where they said the Titans were imprisoned after they lost the war against the Olympian gods. It seems to be the go-to celestial prison for divine rebels. Now, this idea of angels locked away in chains and darkness, that should sound really familiar to anyone who's read the Bible. This verse from the book of Jude in the New Testament talks about the exact same thing. Angels who abandoned their post, being kept in eternal chains in deepest darkness. And let's be super clear, this is not just a coincidence or a similar idea. Scholars are pretty much in agreement that the book of Jude is directly quoting or referencing the story from the book of Enoch. Enoch was a well-known text back then, and its story of the imprisoned Watchers directly influenced the New Testament writers. That connection is solid. The book of Enoch gets so specific, it's wild. It doesn't just say they were thrown in jail. It gives us locations. It says the Archangel Raphael was ordered to bind Azazel, the ringleader who taught war, and throw him into a hole in the desert and then pile jagged rocks on top of him. Semjaza, another leader, was bound with all his followers in the valleys of the earth. Okay, so this all went down in the ancient world, before the Great Flood, which, leads us to the most obvious question. After all this time, thousands of years, Are they still there? Still locked away in those hidden prisons? According to the text, the answer is a clear yes. They are still bound, but here's the catch. Their imprisonment is temporary. They are being held in these chains of darkness until the great day of final judgment. So they're not just serving a sentence, they're basically on death row, waiting for that final verdict when they'll be tossed into a lake of fire for good. So this seems to tie everything up in a neat little bow, right? The angelic bad guys are in jail, problem solved. But wait a minute. This raises a huge question, one the Book of Enoch actually tackles head on. If the ones who started all this corruption are locked away, why is the world still such a mess? Where does all this evil still come from? And this is the final, jaw-dropping twist in the whole saga. Just because the Watchers were punished, that didn't erase what they'd done. Remember their giant kids, the Nephilim? Well, when they were killed, their physical bodies died, but because their fathers were angels, their spirits couldn't die. So you have these disembodied, hungry spirits left to just wander the earth. And according to the Book of Enoch, these are the evil spirits, the demons that are still causing trouble for humanity today. So the Watchers themselves, the original rebels, they're still in chains, waiting for their final day in court. But the evil they unleashed, it took on a life of its own. It's not the fathers who are causing chaos now, but the wandering ghosts of their children. That's the lingering legacy of a rebellion that was judged and punished millennia ago, leaving us with a pretty chilling thought. Who